Anywhere But Here by Nyck. Finally, this is the first review of the year, y'all. Aren't y'all fucking excited? Like fucking finally, right? I'm really sorry for taking so long. I think it's been like 4 weeks that I haven't uploaded a video, which I apologize for. It's just no new shit has come out, and I was just lucky enough that I finally got at least this one project that came out on Friday that I was able to talk about for you guys today. Usually in the beginning of the year, new music isn't really as good as it should be. You know, I will like kind of get excited for new music at the beginning of the year. You know, sometimes they are some pretty decent projects. Sometimes there's some, you know, they are not as good but still worth listening. But if I'm being honest with y'all, I can't think of a better way to start off this new year with a new project by one of probably the most underestimated and underrated record label that we have in modern hip-hop, and that is from the Pro Era record label. A lot of you might recognize the Pro Era artists, you know, from people like Joey Badass, Kirk Knight, CJ Fly, you know, just like a bunch of people from the East Coast. You know, these are the guys that created the rap group Beast Coast. You know, not only did that group consist of Pro Era members, but you know, it consisted of the Flatbush Zombies and the Underachievers. You know, they really have been dominating the game for quite some time. You know, although they're not as, you know, as mainstream and as popular as I wish they would be, I personally think that their craft is really fucking amazing, in my opinion. Now, if I'm being honest with you all, Nyck is the one member of Pro Era that I didn't really pay too much attention to, unfortunately. You know, I think my top three artists, at least from the Pro Era crew, has always been Joey Badass, and then CJ Fly and Kirk Knight was up there as well. But Nyck was just that one artist that I felt was, I wouldn't say he was kind of unimportant. I just felt that he was a bit underwhelming because I feel that, you know, he gets outshined from a lot of the other Pro Era members. You know, it's not a diss at him, because I do think Nyck, from what I've heard so far, is a pretty decent rapper, and he has the absolute potential to be a beast in the rap game. I just felt that for these past like 2 years, maybe, I haven't really been paying much attention to him, because there were other members from Pro Era that I think were doing like just a lot more better than him. Don't get me wrong, I've heard Nyck on many features. You know, my absolute favorite feature from him was on the song Ring the Alarm, which was a part of Joey Badass's album All American Badass that came out in 2017. That will forever be one of my favorite albums that came out in that year. You know, I was really shocked when I heard that album, and you know, that song is just like a really like beast of a song. And I even had the chance to hear Nyck, you know, contribute to the Beast Coast album that came out in 2019. That will again forever be one of my favorite albums that came out that year. I think that probably was my favorite collab album of that year. You know, that was just such a like great and beautiful project. But at the same time, I just don't really feel that Nyck was a big part of it, in my opinion. You know, I did like the Beast Coast album a lot, and I did like, you know, a few of the features that he was in. But to be honest, it wasn't because of him. You know, like it wasn't because I thought that Nyck was like the main attraction right there. But I did have appreciation for what Nyck had to show for in the rap game. So this album was actually my first time hearing a full-length solo album by Nyck, and if I'm being honest, Nyck has probably turned out to be one of my new favorite Pro Era members, because this man has a lot of fucking potential. Like he is honestly super fucking talented. Like I actually got really shocked when I heard this whole project. You know, I know that Nyck has been releasing a lot of music under the Pro Era record label for quite some time now, but if I'm being honest, this project right here sounds like his official debut album, because like it's probably one of his most like personal and most like vulnerable project so far, and I think it's something that a lot of people will enjoy, even if you're not a big, you know, a big rap fan. I think that this is an album that you will quite enjoy, because there really isn't like that many bad things to say about this album. I'll be the first to admit that Pro Era wasn't as active as I wish they could have been last year. You know, yeah, we did get that small little EP with Joey Badass, you know, with just 3 songs, which I personally didn't mind. Like I just wanted to hear more. And we did get that full-length album by CJ Fly called Rude Boy, I believe. which I do appreciate that we at least got that, but in my opinion, I felt that that project by CJ Fly could have been a lot more better. It just felt a bit underwhelming. But if I'm being honest, this new project by Nyck totally makes up for the lack of pro era that we got last year, because this honestly had me super excited, not only to hear what has in store for hip hop, as the year goes on, but I am really excited for what hopefully will be the year that pro era dominates the entire rap game and just puts out a lot of good shit. Just like his pro era brothers, Nyck is really good at working with that, classic traditional East Coast, New York style of rap, but he puts a modern twist to it. I know I talk about this a lot, but that golden era of hip hop that a lot of people seem to forget existed at the time. Nyck is one of the few rappers that is still keeping that era alive, and what I really like about Nyck is that he isn't mainstream, and he realizes that, and instead of trying to appeal to the much more greater masses, he stays true to his fans and connects with them with a deeper level. And instead of making something that's gonna be like mainstream and blow up and like get him super fucking famous, he stays true to himself and just becomes a lot more vulnerable, and explores like many new ways to show the world his point of view on how he views the world. Pretty much, think of this album as Nyck inviting us to like how the world is in his eyes, what it's like to be a part of Nyck world. Now, I know for a while that white rappers have not been like as well respected these days. Of course there are a few exceptions, and now that Mac Miller is gone, and Logic has finally retired. And although I personally don't agree with this particular statement, but I know a lot of modern rap fans do feel this way, with Eminem's career going off the rails. I personally don't agree with that, but keeping all that in mind, with Mac Miller dead and Logic retiring and Eminem, not really being as relevant as he should be anymore, Nyck is one of the few last white rappers that we have in modern day times that definitely has the potential. And being a white rapper is like really, really hard. Not because like they're like bad at it. I've heard many incredible white rappers, but it's like whether we all like it or not, hip hop will forever be a black culture. Hip hop will forever be considered black people music, because like it's the incredible black artists from the past that took this genre from the ashes and brought it to where it is now. But I think Nyck is definitely like an exception of a like good white rapper, because he really is a really dope rapper, and I think that he definitely has a lot of potential, and he will hopefully like pave the way for any more modern white superstars that want to become legends in the rap game. Nyck does not hold a single bar back throughout this whole album. He just goes in, he raps his ass off throughout this whole album. He stays on beat, he never like stays off beat, he never loses your attention. He just is always like keeping you there wanting for more. I think that this album, he definitely demonstrates why he has the potential to be an absolute beast throughout this whole album and throughout the whole rap game in general. I actually think that Nyck has become my new favorite artist of 2021. As you all know, I have a new artist every year. Back in 2017 it was Jordan Lucas, 2018 it was Rich Brian, 2019 it was YBN Corday, last year it was Don Toliver, and this year Nyck definitely takes that spot for me, because like for this being the first album I've ever heard of him, he really is really fucking incredible. And it kind of pisses me off that it took me this long to finally get into him, because he honestly has been doing a lot more shit, prior to this album. But, at least it's better late than never, right? So I definitely am glad that I finally gave this man a chance. This album consists of some of the most, like, clever and best metaphors and punchlines that I've heard in a rap album in such a long time. And it also consists of some of the best and beautiful, storytelling that I've heard as well. Nyck is really good at keeping you entertained, just keeping your attention. He never makes you feel bored. He always catches your eye. His lyricism is very fucking clever and really smart. I don't think I've ever heard that many like modern artists be as clever with their lyricism like Nyck has. And his storytelling is a lot more sentimental and just like really relatable. He's kind of like the white version of J. Cole in my opinion. He just has like that like that really great like relatable tone. You know, he like always keeps it real. You know, like he like doesn't lie at all. He just like has that like personality about him that makes him like very likable. I know that he talks a lot about his dad on here, who unfortunately passed away. But I think this was a beautiful tribute, not only to his father, but just to like the people that he's lost along the way, and just like a beautiful tribute to his story so far. For those of you that don't know much about Nyck Caution's story, I think you will really enjoy to hear not only like what he's gone through, but what he has done to get to where he is now. And it really like makes you happy that he has finally succeeded in life and achieved all of his dreams. Nyck Caution is also really good at switching his flow up a lot throughout this whole album. He can go from a very like chill and calm tone to a much more aggressive and fast-paced tone as well. He just has like this great talent where he can do like more than one flow. It's not like the same boring flow throughout the whole album. He switches it up constantly. Every new track sounds different from one another. It's not like the same track over and over again. I think Nyck Caution definitely created like some of the best shit he's made in a while. I know it's kind of bold for me to say that, considering that I've never heard any of the past albums he dropped, but honestly I feel that this album is probably his best project in a fucking minute. And although I will say that I prefer to hear Nyck Caution on his own, without any features, because I think that he is just like the absolute main attraction throughout this whole album. But I will say that the guest list on here is very fucking memorable. I think it is some of the best, features I've heard in a minute. In my opinion, the guest list is what makes me excited to hear what hip hop has in store for us in this new year, and what Pro Era has in store for us, because I just feel that the guest list just really like made it a lot more like worth hearing it. Like I said, Nyck Caution is absolutely the main attraction, but the guest list on here is some of the best features I've heard in a minute. And although I could talk about all of them, I just want to talk about my 3 favorite tracks with the features. The 5th track on this album consists of a feature with Joey Badass. It's called How You Live It, and it's one of those like really great vulnerable like storytelling songs. To be fair, there is another really great storytelling song on this album with CJ Fly, but in my opinion, Joey Badass takes the cake here, because like I said before in this video, Joey Badass is the reason why I got into the Pro Era group in the first place. He is my favorite member from the Pro Era group. Joey Badass might actually be one of my favorite modern artists in general. He just has this way of just like making some of the best new shit always. Like it doesn't matter if it's a feature or if it's a new project, a new song. Joey Badass just will forever amaze me, because just when I think that he can't outdo himself, he absolutely does it all the time. Like whether it be on a feature with another Pro Era member or somebody else outside of like his group, or like outside of his genre in general, like Joey Badass just always impresses the fuck out of me, and he really did here. Like these two are a really great combination, especially when it comes to this like soulful like storytelling. Like it's a very like sentimental story, of like how they live and everything, the struggles of growing up in a bad neighborhood, and like being like a product of your environment and shit. So I really did enjoy that track with Joey Badass. And then we get to the 9th track on this album, entitled Bad Day with Denzel Curry, which is actually my favorite track on the album. And the reason why I really love this track is because when I listen to an album, I usually look out for the tracks that are a lot more different, that stand out, that are unique. And that's this track right here. Yeah, I do love the overall like classic like New York production style that this whole album has, and it's one of the main reasons why I really do love this album. But to be honest, when I compare this song, Bad Day with Denzel Curry, to all the other songs, like it's the one that sticks out the most, because it is the most surprising and unexpected track that I thought I was going to hear on this album. And I think the reason for that is because Denzel Curry is one of the biggest outsiders in the rap game. I feel that Denzel Curry does more than just rap, and at this point I don't really see him as much as a rap artist. But to be honest, I think both Denzel and Nyck Caution are like these outsiders that not that many people pay attention to, and it's unfortunate because they are super fucking talented. And this track right here just shows is this really awesome like lyrical tag team match. Denzel Curry has really been impressing me. As you all know, Denzel is a sort of hit or miss artist for me. You know, I do think that he has a lot of potential and he's extremely talented as well. But sometimes he makes these songs that are just really fucking ridiculous and really fucking weird that just makes me wonder like what the fuck were you thinking. But lately he really has been impressing me, and this is one of those tracks where it's a very hype song, but it's not like so much in your face, but it's like it's one of those songs where you really like feel satisfied with the metaphors and just the lyrical rage coming at you. Like Denzel Curry, like when he raps, like he can fucking rap, like he fucking like goes in, and Nyck is just one of those rappers that just raps his ass off throughout the whole time. So it felt like a lyrical competition of you know like who can like make the best metaphor, who can do the best flow. Like I just like was in awe on just how great this fucking track turned out. Like it was definitely a song that I wasn't expecting on an album like this, but I'm definitely glad that I got it because it is very wild, it is very crazy, and you know they just go fucking in. And finally, the 11th track on this album, entitled Product of My Environment, which has a guest feature with Coda the Friend, a very underrated rapper from New York, and Eric the Architect from the Flatbush Zombies. This song was a very surprising song for me, and it's not because of like the whole topic of the song, but it's mostly because I wasn't expecting to hear Coda the Friend on here. You know, I've been getting into Coda for a minute now, like maybe for the past 2 years, and he really has been impressing me, especially after that album he dropped last year. And it just sort of like makes me happy to see that Coda the Friend is like getting the recognition he deserves, because he really is a really good lyricist. You know, he's like a really like great and nerdy like feel good rapper. Like I honestly really love hearing Coda the Friend all the time. And what I really like about this song is that it's Nyck, Coda, and Eric the Architect just, you know, pretty much telling like their stories of what it's like being a product of their environment, you know, like what it's like growing up in a sort of like fucked up environment. You know, I think it's one of these situations where, you know, people say that, oh, this person is crazy, so you know I don't understand this person, so that means they're crazy, which I think is bullshit. You know, I personally feel that, you know, like not everyone in the world is crazy. They just like were brought up in a crazy environment, and that's pretty much what the song is about. You know, Nyck, you know, talks about, you know, even though he did grow up around drugs and around alcohol, it was a common thing that he saw, but that he was able to, you know, grow up and say fuck that shit. I really like that he like stayed sober, which is really rare to see these days, especially for artists, and especially for males. I feel that, society like expects like a lot of like men to drink, because that's just who we are. And I think that's why Nyck is super relatable to me, at least because I've been straight edge my whole life. I grew up around that shit, and it's supposed to be a tradition in my family, at least, to be either an alcoholic or a drug addict. And thankfully I'm neither of those. And I think that's why I really love Nyck verse on here, because he talks about that shit, how just because it runs in the family doesn't mean that you can't break the cycle. So I think that's why I really enjoyed his verse on here. And well, Coda's verse is about him just experiencing his parents being alcoholics and being just miserable their entire lives. And the fact that Coda the Friend was able to see that toxic like trait and that toxic behavior and just grew up to be a much more positive role model, not only for his wife but for his kid as well. That's what I really love about Coda's verse. And Eric's verse is a lot more sad, because I feel that Eric and just everybody that is a part of the Flatbush Zombies crew, I think that they all experienced like some bad shit. Eric is talking about just experiencing violence in his entire life, and how he really wanted to like not get involved in that, but sometimes you really can't help it. So Eric talks about his share of like being involved in violence and just having to experience violence, and at some point being a very hateful person. And although I do see Eric as a much more like calm and like very loving artist, I do think that a little bit of that is still in him as well. But yeah, that's what I really like about the song. That they all just share their stories of being a product of their environment and how it has affected them today. And it's just a super relatable track that I think a lot of you will enjoy. Like I said, Bad Day is my favorite track, but if I had to choose, it's a tie between that one and this song, because you know it's just super fucking vulnerable and just super beautiful, and I really really just enjoyed the entirety of it. There was only one track on here that I didn't like, and that was the song Something to Remember Me by. And the reason why I didn't like it is because when I compared this song to all the other songs on this album, it really, really didn't like work well with the overall style, you know. Most of the tracks on here had the same sort of like production work, you know, that same classic like East Coast like style of rap, and for the most part it has like the same tone of energy and shit. And just I feel that although I do appreciate that Nyck was trying to do like a much more different production style for this particular song, I just don't think it worked well with what the album is all about. And you know, I just don't think this song in particular like contributed well to what the other songs are about as well. So I just really really wasn't fucking with the production value on this particular song. But besides that, I think that the entire album is perfect. You know, like I said, Nyck is absolutely the main attraction and should be the reason why you want to hear this album in the first place. The guest list is very memorable as well. You know, production value is great. I would say my one complaint on this album is that I wish it was longer. You know, I think it has maybe 14 tracks and it's about, you know, 35 to 37 minutes long, which I know for a lot of you, that's probably a long album for you all to hear. But you know, I'm telling you all right now, as somebody who has heard albums that are close to an hour long, you know, maybe an hour and 30 seconds long, and as someone who at some points in his life has heard 4 new albums in one day, you know that, you know, this album really isn't that long. You know, 37 minutes ain't nothing compared to the amount of like past projects that I've, you know, heard. So it really isn't that long. So I really wish that this album was a lot more longer pretty much, because some of the tracks on here are like maybe a minute and 20 seconds long, you know, a minute and 30 seconds long, you know, maybe 2 minutes long, and it's just, I don't know, it just feels like I just wanted more. But at the same time, this album did turn out to be one of my favorite rap projects of the year, which once again gets me excited to hear what else is gonna come out new for hip hop this year. I think this might be a good year for hip hop. Hopefully, I know there's a lot of like new like hip hop albums that people have been anticipating for a very long time and are super excited for. So I guess we'll have to see. So yeah, I definitely recommend this album to each and every one of you. It is very beautiful. You know, it is emotional. It's that good like lyrical shit. You know, that golden era of hip hop that we all love. And I think that this might be the album that finally gives Nyck the attention he deserves, because he is extremely talented, and I think a lot of you will really enjoy what he has to say. I'm gonna give this album an 8 out of 10. Yep, that's right. I have a rating system now. We changing it up a bit this year, y'all. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed my review. What did y'all think about this album? Have you heard it? Did you like it? Did you love it? What are your favorite tracks? What are your least favorite tracks? Let me know in the comment section down below. I would love to hear your opinions on it. And with that being said, don't forget to like, subscribe, click that bell down below, all that good stuff. And don't forget to stay happy.
It's like I'm living a dream, that's how to reach. I've been cooking like Walter and Jesse P. Kisses, I ain't trying to be a prodigy. Past deep.